You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we've got Garrett from Southern Illinois. What's going on, man?
Hey, Elton Jenkins. I have some advice for you. You clearly are not an Office fan, or you would have known and taken the advice from Daryl that you never go to a strip club on Monday at noon. You should have gone to the roller skating rink instead. Stupid decision. Get your butt in Green Bay. Get your head together. Quit hanging out with people that bring you down. I'm out.
Well, and if there are some contract disputes, which it appears we're moving in that direction, which I still don't fully understand. I gotta spend some time today wrapping my head around that a little bit, but try to get in the team's good graces a little bit. A police incident at a place like that, I don't know how much it moves the needle, but I can't imagine it's the best thing to be doing. I guess it doesn't matter because the Packers friggin' love you and are super jacked about you being our starting center and all that. I get it. I'm just saying. Just don't take stuff like that for granted. I don't like that. Not that I don't understand it from a sort of human psychology standpoint where it's like, yeah, I'm big and bad now and, the team needs me and I'm paid and all this stuff. So I don't have to care. I know that you don't have to care. But the fact that you don't have to care and therefore you choose not to care, that's not good. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing. It's kind of a bad thing. So, just saying.
Hey, it's Nate. Just wanted to call in to give some thoughts on the Derek Carr thing.
Sure.
It's crazy that he just kind of decided to retire, and it definitely left the Saints shook.
I'm trying to think. Something about that call left the Saints shook. Is there a very obvious joke in there that I'm missing? Carr shook Saints. I feel so stupid if the structure of that call feels like this was a joke. But I'm just going to be an idiot and not get it if that's the case. Very reminiscent of his brother, by the way. Guy came in, played for the Texans, I think. Got the living crap beat out of him behind a historically bad offensive line. Bunch of injuries, and is like, I guess I quit. I don't know. I guess that's it. Derek obviously had a much longer career, but ended in similar fashion. Saints shook. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Chief Benny here. Listening to your scouting the NFC North.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the Lions.
I still haven't done the Vikings, have I? It was bad timing to not be able to sneak that in because tomorrow was supposed to be drama day. We can't do drama day because tomorrow needs to be schedule day. So we got to do the schedule. Then we got to talk about all this drama going on. Then, randomly, assuming nothing else happens, we're going to have to sneak in hey, let's talk about the Vikings, which is going to feel really weird because it's so disconnected, but it's what we got to do, I think.
And look, I will admit, they've done a pretty decent job building a roster. But with them losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, you think about how their offense was. And a lot of people are saying, well, they lost them. They're not going to be as good. And I kind of like to think that's true, or could be true, but at the end of the day, if they're good enough players, it doesn't really matter who is coordinating everything. You know what I mean? But for me, Aaron Glenn, I thought he did a great job with, especially what happened, them losing Hutchinson and all the injuries they had. I mean, they still were able to be a great defense. So I don't know if they lose that kind of spark or again, like I said, if they're good enough players, it will not matter who is coordinating them. So
and that's kind of my thought. I want to believe they're going to fall off a cliff not having their offensive and defensive coordinators. I'm just very skeptical. For the same reason that I'm skeptical that Ben Johnson's going to go to Chicago and just instantly make them like the best team in football like Detroit was last year. I don't know how much Ben Johnson had to do with what they did. When you look at the offensive pieces, do you think other offensive coordinators couldn't have gone in there with maybe the best offensive line in football, a dominant run game because of the offensive line largely, probably the most accurate quarterback in football playing behind an elite offensive line with one of the top receivers in football in Amon-Ra St. Brown? He did a good job, but that's the other thing. He did a really good job of kind of building a plan around that. How hard is it going to be for somebody to slide in behind that and execute that plan? And as far as losing the defensive coordinator, their defense wasn't good. A lot of that is because of injury or whatever, but it's not going to be hard to say, I have Aiden Hutchinson. How can I make this work? I know there's a lot of in-game decisions and calling the right plays but I don't even know how good of a job Ben Johnson did of that, assuming you have all these things in place. Other than just being aggressive all the time and being made right by your team, by your players, because they executed and it worked. And we also saw him do some really stupid stuff that cost everybody was saying all the way down the season, you're going to do this at the wrong time and it's going to cost you your season. Because a lot of people looked at it and said, you were not being smart, you're being stupid. But your team is making you look like a genius. So it's absolutely possible they fall off a cliff entirely. I'm really not sold on that. Maybe they're not quite as good. Granted, I would be stunned if they're as good as last year. Even with Ben Johnson, I would be stunned if they were as good as last year. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I really don't know what to think. We'll see. I'm hoping that's true. I hope they suck. I am so sick of those Lions fans. They've not even appeared in one Super Bowl. And they talk so much crap, and it's so freaking annoying, dude. It's starting to sound like Bears fans, seriously. I literally starting to hate the Lions more than the Bears.
It's getting bad.
But I can never hate them more than Bears fans, because Bears fans are the worst. Haven't gotten to the part about the Bears, but, it's the Bears. They do all this stuff, act like they're champions, and then you get the season, and you know what, dude? I'm sure they'll be better this year, but by what? They'll win 2 more games? They'll probably win 7 or 8 games. Now, you know what I'm going to say? They're going to win about 9 or 10 games this year. But ultimately, they're not going to be good enough. Packers will still beat them. Probably Lions will beat them. They'll only be able to beat up on the Vikings probably really in the division. So, to hell with it, man. Go Pack, go.
Sounds good to me, man. We'll see how she goes, I guess. I'm currently monitoring this schedule release situation. I have to be careful what I say after going in on, we don't know what's going to happen. But, man, you look at the beginning of the schedule, it's like, oh, damn. Okay, well, at least they're home games. They're home games, you know what I mean? Battle through those first ones, come away with W's, looking pretty.
Brian, this is Aaron. I haven't called in a while, so...
What's up?
Yeah, but y'all are talking about movies a little bit, so I figured I'd give a call in. And, yeah. So, in response to one of the other callers asking for underrated movies, I'll get to that. I will get to my most underrated movie, in my opinion, that needs more recognition. But first, I'm going to talk about another movie that I saw recently. It is currently in theaters. It is a Nick Cage movie, and honestly, probably the most Nick Cage of all Nick Cage movies I have ever seen in my life.
Okay.
It's called The Surfer. Basically, he's in Australia, and he wants to surf on the beach that he grew up at, but the local surfers are like, no, locals only. If you don't live here, you can't surf here. And no, I was not trying to do an Australian accent. I'm just from Minnesota, and sometimes that accent comes out. But, anyways, I was a Minnesotan accent, not an Australian accent.
Got it.
Anyways, so it divulges into this long journey of him trying to surf there and get his son to surf there when he was planning on buying a house on the beach all along, but then he basically becomes this weird homeless dude. It's like an allegory of existentialism in life, I guess. I don't know. It's very Nick Cage of all Nick Cage movies. But anyways, so my recommendation for most underrated movie, I think, is it's not an action, but in a way it is. It's called Be Kind Rewind. I think it came out in like 2009, if I'm not mistaken. It's got Jack Black and Mos Def. It's a hilarious movie, but it's basically about this guy who owns like a video rental store, and then Jack Black becomes like magnetized in a way, and so he like erases all the VHS tapes.
Okay.
And so in an effort to maintain the VHS store, they remake all the movies with their just like little camcorder and their friends. And definitely recommend it. I don't know what it's streaming on, but it's called Be Kind Rewind, and I absolutely recommend it. Let's see how much time I have left. Oh, I've got about like 10, 15 seconds. So yeah, the schedule's getting released. I don't like when people are like, oh, these leaked games are getting released. It's like, no, they've been released. They're not leaked. I don't know. That just bothers me. Sorry, I need to finish off the 3 minutes. I don't need to finish off the
You don't have to finish off the 3 minutes.
I'm going to, because...
Here we go. So I Googled The Surfer, and hilariously on Google Reviews, apparently that's a thing, it has 2.4 stars. The only one that's visible here, without clicking on more audience reviews, says, in short, boring, nonsensical, terrible story writing, long version, where to begin? And then it goes into just a whole litany of things. I switched over to IMDb, gave it 6.5 stars, which I feel like isn't good, but boy is it hard to find one rated higher that Nick Cage was in. I'm guessing you'd have to go back to some of his older ones. What are some of the older ones? Like, what is Face Off? That's a 7.3. Anyways, speaking of Nicolas Cage, I just recently watched 2 movies that he was in. Longlegs, I just watched, which I was super confused about Longlegs. I couldn't tell if it was like a joke, because like he seemed like it's a horror movie, but he seemed kind of like goofy in the previews. I could not tell what the heck was going on. But it was better than I expected, considering I had 0 expectations. I kind of liked the character that he played. It's definitely Nicolas Cage, but it's like Nicolas Cage with a twist, because he's like a crazy psychopath person. So that was decent. And then very shortly after, I'm trying to figure out what freaking movie that was. I thought it was a newer one, but maybe not. Very weird. Wasn't super good, but I forced my way through it. Well, 2019. It's Color Out of Space. Really weird. Has like almost like a 90s or 80s sci-fi vibe to it. And then when you mentioned the VHS thing, it immediately reminded me of a movie I just watched, another very weird movie, just finding all these random movies that I did like. I don't know why. I have a feeling either you're going to get it and watch it and be like, I don't know why that was good, but I enjoyed it, or you're going to think that you're the worst person on planet Earth for recommending that movie to me. It's called Rent-A-Pal. It's kind of cool with the nostalgia. Again, it's from 2020, so it's not actually old, but it takes place in, I'm guessing, the 90s. Yeah, it says 1990. So this dude is like living in his mom's basement. He takes care of his mom. He's trying to date, and they're doing like the whole VHS dating thing. So he like apparently have to pay to get these VHSs from these ladies, and then basically call in and be like, yeah, I know, I'm kind of interested. It's kind of like swiping, and then you see if you match. And then you also pay to do a video, and then if people like you and you like them, whatever. He randomly finds this VHS where with a guy that wants to be your pal, and then he goes crazy, and it's I liked it. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Let's see, what did Google rate it? 3.5. Feels not great, but it's just it must be out of 5. Okay, that's not terrible, I guess. Anywho's, why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We got Daniel from California.
Hey, Ryan, Daniel from California.
Yep.
There's all this Elton Jenkins speculation, and everybody's so certain on what's going to happen with the offensive line, and this is what the plan is. And, you know, we all know Goody doesn't, like, they have a general idea, but they leave things open to see how it all works out. And I don't think that they're locked in with, oh, this is going to be the path, and Elton's going to be the center for the next 3 years or whatever, right? Like, literally, this whole deal is set up to where the competition is going to shake itself out, and whatever is the maximum amount of value you can get based on all the contracts on the roster, and however things need to work out, that's how it's going to go. But there's a world where Anthony Belton shows up and he is so good he could play right tackle, right? And Zach Tom could move to center, and then they could put Elton Jenkins at right guard, even though he prefers the left side. But it's just there's a lot of variability, and
I kind of mentioned this before. I think there is truth to the fact that anything is possible, and the Packers do try to keep their options open as much as is humanly possible. But there's also a reality of percentages. You know, could Anthony Belton play right tackle and Zach Tom move into center? Yes. What is the percentage chance of that happening? I mean, if you gave me 100 to 1 odds, I don't know if I would take it. I mean, maybe I'd drop down $1 on it just to see if I can win $100, but I kind of feel like I just lost $1, you know? It's like I saw somebody mention, again, similar to the Elton Jenkins thing, like, well, you know, we could probably just play Monk there. And it's like, yeah, maybe. But again, I kind of feel like I'm just losing $1. I think the variability, I'm kind of looking at it in terms of there's going to be a left tackle and a right guard competition. We'll see about Banks. We all assume he's going to be a left guard. Maybe he's a part of the right guard conversation, meaning there's a general guard competition. I think center and right tackle are pretty much locked up. And so, yes, technically there's 5 positions that are being competed for. I think there are 3 positions that are, to some degree, actually realistically being competed for. And that's probably more so down to 2. It's just a question of, like, what percentage of... I guess the bigger question is what percentage chance are you thinking that this could happen would be the more interesting conversation, because otherwise we're just kind of saying anything's possible, and that's, you know what I mean? So if you were saying, I think there's like a 25% chance that they would consider making that move, assuming Belton could do it, that's where I would probably chime in and say, I think that's a little high, but maybe.
Don't like all these guys saying they know for certainty what's going to happen, because the competition's going to really decide what happens, and we haven't seen that yet.
And the other issue with competition is the Packers will say that they'll give guys opportunities, but in reality, there's almost no competition at some of these spots. Day one, they're going to come out in an order, and everyone's going to say, oh boy, here's where, and then they'll switch up right guard. The next, the next day they'll have, it'll be Rashid, and then Banks, and then Elton, and then probably Morgan, and then Tom. And then everyone will overreact to that, and things will change, but the change will be like Sean Ryan will come out at right guard. And then later on, maybe Banks or Belton will be the left tackle. So they're very slowly going to introduce change in the obvious areas. It's hard for there to be real competition if Belton gets 4 snaps at right tackle throughout training camp. You know what I mean? there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for other guys. Now, there's going to be the 2s and the 3s, and there might be some changing up there, because even if it is that front 5 that I start with, then the 2s are going to come out, and it's going to be Belton at left tackle, or possibly Morgan at left tackle. He moves from right guard to left tackle, and then Belton will be the right guard. We'll get a little bit of insight into the ranking when you look at who the 2s are, but we talk about there needs to be a competition, but some of these positions, there really just isn't much competition. And they do that on purpose because they want guys that they're pretty positive are going to be there, like Zach Tom and Elton and Banks. They want to give them as many reps as is humanly possible in the position that they're confident they're going to be in. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how much competition there even actually is. There's going to be some. My guess is it's not going to be very much. The real competition will be in the positions where they really don't know. They're going to try to hammer it out as quickly as possible, because it's kind of like what Jeff Hafley was talking about. We need to get to ground zero as fast as possible. So we want there to be an open competition. We also want to solidify our front 5 as fast as possible so we can get them working together as fast as possible and start week 1 ready to rock and roll.
So everybody could speculate and say, "Oh, I know what's going to happen," but they don't really know. Everybody's speaking. We have the most versatile offensive line in the NFL, and all these guys are going to be competing with each other. So it's literally whatever the best 5 is what it's going to be, and whatever the best value you're going to get going forward is what the contract's going to be. And if there is some speculation, Elton Jenkins is doing some contract stuff. I haven't heard anything, saying that, oh, this is for sure what it is. But if we get into training camp and we see that one of these other guys can play center at an above average level, it's like he's not getting an extension, right? Like I know we like Elton, we know he's a B level starter, but it's just there's a lot of flexibility in the situation, and like I think him at center or one of these other guys is fine. It's just it's all about the competition, and that's just my point, man. Like everybody wants to try to figure all these little details out, and it's just they don't know, but they'll find out. So that's all I got. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that already with a lot of comments, whether that's on X or in the Facebook group or whatever, where it's like, this is definitely what's happening kind of thing. Or, you're an idiot if you think this, that, or the other. We have to let it play out. And we also have to leave the option open to just be surprised. Packers might have a plan in place that I didn't, because a lot of this stuff is assumed. So even where I'm coming from, where it's like, here's the 5, and I don't think there's going to be a Zach Tom, a Banks, or a Elton Jenkins competition. Not really. Kind of. They're always going to give somebody an opportunity to win it, but they're just not going to get much of an opportunity. But for all I know, again, maybe they actually like Banks at right guard. And maybe Belton, they don't like at guard at all, and he's only a left tackle. And maybe Morgan, they really like him at guard, or maybe they really want him back at tackle, and Belton was always expected to be a guard. I don't really know. And, maybe there's some legitimacy to we are willing to move on from Elton, which means, maybe Zach Tom or Monk does get a legitimate shot at the center position, or maybe they even do it just, if this contract thing, assuming that is the issue, goes on for a long time, maybe they put Zach Tom there just to kind of push negotiations along, to be like, look, I know you think you're indispensable, but guess what? You are just disposed of. So sucks to suck. Belton, you're the right tackle. Like you said, Belton, head over there to right tackle. Morgan, you're our right guard. Rashid, you stay at left tackle. Tom, you're our center. Elton, kind of maybe you go F yourself. Or come to work and shut up. Up to you.
So I listened to the latest Packernet After Dark, and you led off with my call that basically I made you an intro, Ryan, kind of like Clayton has Amon Green and Brett Favre, and I just thought maybe all the OG callers should call in and make intros for you. So there you go.
Yeah.
Besides that, I called in because I watched Jeff Hafley interview yesterday, and the questions that they asked him regarding the defense, and he's very insightful and very concise, and I appreciate his honesty. And honestly, he's a lot easier to listen to than LaFleur. LaFleur is, like I said, starting to get a little bit of a mean streak in him, how he answers stuff, and Jeff seems real relaxed and actually having fun with it all. But he did bring up a couple of things that I thought was interesting. One of them was he mentioned one of the words that I had highlighted when I was talking about, if you notice the theme through the draft, it was, speed, but versatility was what he said. And I tend to agree, because that's what I called in about. Is like, I'm glad that he's looking at it that way, and we're getting it right. We're starting to maybe figure out a little bit of what this defense is going to look like, and it's definitely going to be a ton of different looks. And he mentioned that, now that he's got a year of tape on defense, it's beneficial for his guys to go back and look at what they did right, but it also gives all the other teams a chance to look at what they did to scheme against his defense and what was successful and what was not. So he's like, well, I can't really use that same stuff that was successful because it may not work this time. So with these new guys, I really do hope that it brings a lot of new looks and, like you said, versatility at every position. So it makes me a lot more excited about it. So I'm out.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm ready to get this rocking and rolling here and get a chance to look at these guys and how they want to use these different puzzle pieces. Like Daniel was talking about with the offensive line, we have a lot of versatility, and they do have a lot of options. How much they want to explore it is kind of the big question, but they could pretty much put almost anyone anywhere, and it does get to be, getting back to the offensive line, you could create dilemmas. Like if you had said, what if these are the best five? You know what I mean? And then change up the different five and say, what if these are the best? Where would you put them? But yeah, you could do the same thing with defense with some of the pieces we got. It'll be fun to see them put this all together.
Part two. So while scrolling through YouTube, Brian, I come across a video that had some NFL players that were over in Dubai, and they were using side-by-sides and driving through the dunes and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end, it shows them riding camels. And it was interesting to see that it was Micah Parsons, Jordan Love, Justin Fields, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and I think I'm forgetting somebody. But there was three different side-by-sides that was being driven. And it was just interesting seeing these guys, having fun, and Micah Parsons driving like a maniac, and Jordan Love is the passenger, and I'm praying. It's like, oh, please do not wreck this thing. And it was just interesting seeing the camaraderie between these guys, guys that they play against, and it's just something sight to behold when you see players outside of the NFL games that are hanging out and doing stuff together, and what their true personalities are like and stuff. But I wasn't sure if you had seen it. It's kind of worth a little bit of a watch. Kind of see how competitive they are even when they're just playing games. So it's worth a watch. Go check it out.
It is kind of funny and interesting that Jordan Love does seem to be at the cool kids table, you know what I mean? Of all the different quarterbacks and everything else that's out there, he is the one that's hanging out with Micah Parsons and some of these guys. He seems to have a very good relationship with a lot of really high-profile people, I guess is what I'm getting at. I think that tends to be a good thing. He's not, you don't want him out partying and stuff, but these are high-level people that are succeeding, not Fields as much, but there has been a lot of that. And I like that Jordan is a person that people like to be around. They want to have him on their podcast. You want to have him on vacation with you. You want to work out and train with him. For somebody that you want to be the leader of your team, I think that's a good sign.
To answer Omar's question about most underrated movie, I would have to say it's a Civil War era movie called Glory with Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Matthew Broderick, and other guys. And it's about a black regiment commanded by a white officer. And I have to say, it gets you in the feels for sure. But Denzel Washington being one of my favorite actors, it was one of his most earliest roles. Seems to me like it does not get its due. When I talk to people, there's so many people have never seen that movie. So, gotta watch that one. That is definitely one of my most underrated. So, and,
I could swear I've seen it, because I definitely know of it. But I don't know. I don't know if I've just seen a bunch of scenes from it, or if I actually watched it. Either way, I need to watch it, because it's love war movies, Denzel, Morgan Freeman. I mean, there's nothing not to like about this. I guess Matthew Broderick, it's a very weird role for him, I would think, but, all that stuff.
I know Mother's Day has passed, and this one's totally on the opposite spectrum of things. But Throw Mama from the Train, because it has Billy Crystal in it.
Oh, yeah.
And Danny DeVito.
I remember that one.
Is hilarious slapstick. And the title speaks for itself. But great movie to watch on Mother's Day. And by the way,
I forgot about that movie. I feel like it's one that I saw maybe once or twice a long time ago. And I just have not seen it in a very long... I mean, we talked about Billy Crystal, obviously, but I got to pull that one back up, man. That's Anne Ramsey. I look at her face, and immediately it's like, oh, yeah, that's that horrible lady that is just awful. I don't know if it's just from that one movie, or if that was just her whole career as being like the crabby mom that everyone hates. I don't know, but she plays the role well. Because I hate her.
What? Me and my wife, I told her on Mother's Day, I said, don't you dare touch those dishes, and don't you dare vacuum the floor. Don't you dare do laundry. This is Mother's Day. It can wait till tomorrow. So, I'm out.
Well played. All right, let's take our final break. We got TJ from Alabama on the other side.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama, listening to your 2026 draft quarterback breakdown a little bit. And I tell you, obviously we don't know how this past draft is going to work out and how all these players are going to play out and so on and so forth. I'm pretty happy about it, pretty excited about it, see how it goes. Of course, I'm kind of always fairly excited and positive about the draft picks until they, either become great or suck. But at this moment, pretty happy with how the draft shook out, pretty happy with the production, positions we took and the players we took. With all that said, with next year's draft having, 7 quarterbacks in the top 32 and a few that appear to be blue chippers and a number in the top 10, damn, I would like Atlanta's first round pick next year. I would be really excited. I'm not even saying I would want to go back in time and change it, but just to say, boy, I would love to have Atlanta's number 1 draft pick in the bag for next year. Kind of no matter what happens to us this season, Atlanta could be great, but man, they could suck too. And if we had both of our first round pick and their first round pick and this heavy in quarterbacks, whether we take one or whether we trade a pick to somebody who's quarterback needy, I don't know, just dreaming a little bit, thinking out loud in the off season because there's not a lot of other stuff to think about. That's it. Thank you, Ryan. Bye.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly excited for it already. I'm not going to dedicate a lot of time on the podcast, at least, not any more than I think I can get away with. Because I know it's for some people, the NFL draft is a bad word until like a week before the draft. But as things start to unfurl a little bit, as we get an idea of what we do have, what we don't have, it'll be interesting to start peeking a little bit.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama again.
Yo.
Listening to the pod and, Omar and a few others calling in and doing movie stuff. And I wasn't going to chime in because, to be honest with you, my movie tastes are pretty, I don't want to say normal, but more popular stuff. Like, I really enjoyed The Matrix. I really enjoyed Lord of the Rings. Things like that, which
Sure.
is, well, hell, there's nothing unusual or special about that. But I was thinking about it a little bit, and I don't know exactly how old your kids are, but my kids, who are early, young adults at the moment, or in their 20s, they really enjoyed the studio. So I was thinking about movies that are a little bit more obscure, or something that to join the conversation. And my kids really enjoyed the Studio Ghibli movies, and Disney sucks nowadays, and so they're animated movies. They're definitely a little weird. They're out of Japan, but they really enjoyed those, and even as adults, they still enjoy them. So, don't know if you ever heard it. Maybe you already watched it, and because they're weird, it's like that stuff's horrible. But I think it falls into the category either the kids will really, really enjoy it, or the kids will not get it at all and hate it, and it'll be you watch the first 20 minutes of it, and you pull it out.
Trying to open up the Studio Ghibli thing, and right at the top is the Studio Ghibli collection. I'm like, oh, let's see what we got. And my freaking antivirus detection's blasting, like, don't do it.
Never get to it again. But if you've never heard of it or whatever, I would probably start with either Wolfwalkers or Howl's Moving Castle. And again, it's more of kids' movies, but slightly older kids, like under 5, probably wouldn't get it at all. And they're definitely a little weird, but they're definitely interesting. So that, like I said, I've been hearing all the movie talk. I didn't have anything for my own taste that was useful or unusual, so I decided to pull out the kids' taste and throw that on the Barbie and see if it cooks. That's it. Thanks, Ryan. Bye.
I will try to see what I can figure out from this. Again, I'm getting kicked off of certain sites here. Some of the most popular and critically acclaimed movies. Spirited Away, Howl's Movie Castle, Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro. I mean, maybe. We'll see. Give it to the kids and see what they do with it. It's, I guarantee, better than the nonsense they're watching people play Minecraft on YouTube. Like, that's got to put the kibosh on that nonsense. I understand I watch people do things that I enjoy doing, but I don't care. It's stupid.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Rico.
What up?
Omar just called in and he asked you about who your favorite draft pick is, which one you're most excited about. Yeah, don't let him beat you down, Ryan. Don't. Because Savion or Savion or let's just call him B.A. Williams because he's badass.
All right.
B.A. Williams is going to go out there and show what's up.
Appreciate
I
that.
hope so anyways. I don't know. I get what you're saying about people trying to say, oh, he's this gadget guy and he's this, that, and the other thing, but it won't really matter when he shows up to training camp and they won't have any choice but to put him on the field when he goes out there and he shakes off DBs left and right and mows over safeties and, I mean, they'll have to, right? They'll have to put him out and he'll have to dominate and everybody will be happy, especially me and you, buddy. Oh, Savion! Gotta get me in Jersey. All right, go, Pat, go.
Well, sticking with the consistent theme here, it's all about the competition, man. Maybe he's just a gadget guy that needs some time to possibly be more. Or maybe he goes out there and it's like, holy crap, that's our number one wide receiver. You know what I'm saying? You never know. You never, ever, ever know. Unless you do know, in which case what I said is not correct. But in this case, you don't know. So there you go. But we have exactly 2 calls remaining. Drew, what you got, man?
Hey, Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay. I'm calling about your recent Packernet After Dark. I was kind of thinking, like, Golden is the player for me, even though I know it's a boring first-round pick. Golden is the player for me that, like, yeah, he's the one that we need to make the big impact. And I know you said Belton because Golden's the first round pick, but like, I mean, I just feel like this year more than any year, it really is the first round pick. Like last year, I'd have to go back and look at everybody, but I mean, I didn't feel like Morgan was the one who was needed to come in and be the star, you know what I mean? And he was that first round pick. So, and in 2026, I was actually looking at that earlier today. There's a cornerback from Texas and, like Muhammad or something as his last name. And since they seem to like Texas players and, you know, with Jair being up in the air, I think like, I'm going to keep an eye on him for sure and see what he does. Could be a good fit for a first round pick. I think he's like 23 overall consensus. But just like, we did really poorly. Jordan Love, you know, just fell off completely. We had a top 10 pick. Like, you know, we just gave Jordan Love a big contract. That's the problem. So in that scenario, then I think we would have to, I think we'd have to consider if there's a quarterback there, potentially trading back, because if we take that other quarterback and just eat all that money from Jordan Love's contract, like that's going to be really painful.
Well, remember, we don't have to cut Jordan Love just because we draft a quarterback. You know what I mean? I mean, that's classic Packers to draft a guy. I mean, obviously you know the score at that point, but, you know, you draft a guy and it's like, oh no, Jordan's still our guy. Don't worry about it. No big friggin' deal, you know. And then you let the guy sit for a year or two, whatever the case may be. Or he's dominant and he plays. It is what it is. But at that point, you don't super care, and you wouldn't cut Jordan probably until the next year anyway. So, you know.
And I mean, I guess it's how bad really is he, you know? And if you know he's not the guy, then I guess you have to take the quarterback. But if you can trade back, I would look to get like future first rounders, or at least one future first rounder. So then you have the ammunition, you know, give Jordan Love another year or two. And then, you know, the following year you can go get that quarterback and you can let him sit a year. And now you're talking 2 years. If Love is still, you know, not working out, well, now you have that other quarterback in place. So,
sure.
And I think timing, it would line up a lot better. Plus, you'd be able to add other assets with everything you picked up. So, that's another option. But if there's a star you really like, yeah, maybe it's just too good to pass up on. And then for someone asked about movies, I don't know if this is one people know about or not. Desperado, I really liked. And
Part 2.
Hey, Ryan, Drew from Green Bay, and I don't know if my call didn't go through or if I got hung up on at some point. I have no clue where I was, so I'm just gonna say the movies that I wanted to say Desperado and Moon are two movies. Desperado's pretty funny movie and good storytelling. Moon is like good acting, sci-fi movie. Yeah, so hey, if anybody's looking to add a couple of movies to the list, there you go. Oh, and another one is October Sky, which is like, I actually watched that in school, and that's about a kid who wants to become a rocket scientist, but his family is in the, you know, mines, and everybody in his family has always gone to the mines, and it's about him fighting with his family over that, and it's got Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's just a really good movie. I think it hits home, like, where a lot of families have that issue where the parents want them to do something safer, and kids they're dreaming big, you know?
Yep.
And it's just really, really cool. So
that was always me, but I was never smart enough to actually accomplish anything, so my parents were right in my case, but certainly, you know, you don't want to stifle your kids too much, unless they're idiots like me, in which case, yeah, you tell them, well, too bad, you're flipping burgers at McDonald's. That's how it goes when you're a teenager, and shut up and do it.
I just, that movie just hits home, I think. So, all right, have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty normal, I would say. I think because I was that person, I'm kind of the other way with my kids, where my wife is much more, you need to just be careful, just, calm down, just go get a nice job and be, just do your thing. Just my kids tell me that they want to do something. I'm like, you should 100% do that. Don't ever do anything. I don't care about anything else. Daughter told me she wanted to be a YouTuber, and I thought my wife was going to have a conniption. I'm like, bro, you should do it. Like, what do you like doing? You got to go borrow your mom's camera and upload it and see what happens. You never know. I don't freaking care. Son wants to be a football player, be a football player. Let's do it. Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. I know he's not going to be one if I tell him he's not going to be one. I know that much. Outside of that, I don't know. You never know. But I appreciate the movie recommendations. Definitely no Desperado. Definitely no October Sky. I don't know Moon. I don't think I've heard of it, seen it, nothing. But with that, I'm going to get up out of here. You all have a good rest of your night. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.